Hey Facebook, I'm in the car. We are on our way to a ranch where there's a gentleman who wants to donate a lot of land all around his ranch there to Trump to build the wall. And so on the drive out, we've got a amazing car of women. And so I want to introduce some of them to you. So this is Charlotte, and she's a reporter with Epic Times, and so she's got some amazing data she's going to share with us in just a second. We also have in the driver's seat Melissa McCreary, and she is a amazing mom, blogger, businesswoman, public speaker. And Chelsea, will you show Melissa while she's driving? And then Chelsea Higgs, who is on the camera, and she can turn around if she wants. If not, she can be incognito. Either way. So, anyways, but I wanted to get on, and we wanted to talk about the real crisis at the border. In my mind, as a mother, and Melissa's in the front seat being triggered, and we were just like, we got to have this conversation. Other moms got to hear this conversation. So, some of the things that was shared this morning was this real startling reality. I didn't realize this. You know, we always see on the news with, you know, immigrant women and children coming over, and oh, it's this crisis, it's a humanitarian crisis. But guys, you don't realize this. Those children, some of those children that are coming over are being rented out either by their parents or stolen at some point. And guys, they are being recycled back through the border over and over again. Yes, I just said that. So they come across the border. There's a group of people that come across the border, and they have a child with them. They say, I'm here for asylum. They get in and they get through, and guess what? That child ends up back in either the country that they originated from, and they do the whole process over again. That is tragic. And so Melissa's up there, we're being told this. Charlotte, will you share with us just some of those stories? Because you've been to the border, you were there with Border Patrol just a couple weeks ago, and she was saying, you were just saying, you know, you saw this group of guys, and you're like, I don't even think this is your kid. So can you tell everybody just a little bit of some of the stories you were talking about, some of the data you were telling us too?
Sure. Well, in Yuma recently, I'll start with Yuma. The Yuma Border Patrol chief told us that in the first 6 months of 2019 fiscal year, they have discovered 550 fake families. So that's about 3 a day, and that's only the ones that they find. There are many, many more. He says that the Border Patrol is so overwhelmed that they don't have the opportunity to really find them all. So the key, if you have a child with you, then Border Patrol will release you very quickly. And so in the Rio Grande Valley, if we go back to 2014, the number of men who were apprehended by Border Patrol, there were fewer than 1% that had a child with them. Now that number is 50%.
Wow.
So there's no catastrophic event in Central America that would indicate that that's the reason why all of these men and children are fleeing. So you have to assume that they are doing that that's their golden ticket in, is to have a child. And the policy is that any child under 14 does not get biographical information taken. That's just a regulation, which means it's very easy to circulate a child around, rent them out. Yuma said they are starting a pilot program with photographs and fingerprints, but the adult with the child has to consent to that. And they're also starting a pilot DNA program, but it's very costly, very limited. So if you think there's 3 a day in Yuma, there's 3 times that number in Rio Grande Valley. Rio Grande Valley, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, there was a man from Honduras, and he had a 1-year-old child with him, and after a while they found out that the child was not his. And I have asked a few people now, if he had gotten through, what would have happened to that 1-year-old child? I can't imagine that man would have looked after and cared for that child. So we don't really know. The child may have been just recycled back. You can't ask a 1-year-old child,
Sure.
hey, who's your real parents, or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Well, and then I read in the news the other day that Border Patrol came up on a group and they just left a 6-year-old or something like that for dead. A 3-year-old, yeah. And he was crying, and Border Patrol found him. They just left him all there. And at the time, it didn't make sense to me because the way the media tells you is these are families coming over. I'm like, what family? If you just made this trek, leaves their 3-year-old randomly when Border Patrol comes up. And now it makes sense, realizing that these are kids that are being not only trafficked, but being recycled over and over again.
Yeah.
And so, and then the other thing we were talking about that was crazy is you're saying that in the States even, these are kids that are being trafficked, that their families are living here, and then they're being re-trafficked through, like living in America. They're not in Mexico, they're living in America, and the kids are being rented out to go through this process. But tell me also what happens, once these people get here, or the kids get here, what's the process that they go through? Because I'm thinking, like I'm very pro-adoption, and so I'm thinking, what's happening with all these kids? Like, if they're being caught, where are they going? So would you mind just sharing those stats too?
That the kids on their own, if they're found to be a fake parent, then DHS will try and find their real parents. Sometimes the parent is south of the border, sometimes the parent is actually already in America, and they're basically renting them out. They're trafficking their own child up, but using them to get someone else entry.
And will they be, if they find out that they have been trafficked, they probably won't even own it, but would that child then be returned to them? Or, I mean, that's child abuse, is renting your child out.
I don't know enough about it, but I know that if they cannot find the parents, then that child will go to Health and Human Services, and through the Office of Refugee Resettlement will be resettled with a sponsor in the United States. So the Health and Human Services at the moment has over 12,000 unaccompanied minors and children.
Wow.
And most of them actually go to parents who are already in the country illegally. Wow, that's scary. Yeah, but a lot of the parents put their daughters on birth control before they start the journey because they know they're likely going to get raped along the way. Wow. And
we were talking a little bit too about why they're making the journey, and so some of the things that were shared this morning was, and this was, you guys can see some of the broadcasts from this morning on the page. I know they're a little dry, but it's just a lot of data. But some of the stuff they're talking about, this is actually the big business for cartels. And what was really strange to me, it's almost like how people pitch timeshares. You ever go to a timeshare meeting and it's like, hey, it's gonna be great. It's almost like, to me, I was thinking it's like the cartels are doing this. They're going, they were saying they were going to other countries and saying this is how you come in this way, and they're paying upwards of $10,000, $15,000 to enter the country in some cases. And actually, you should share your story about the story you just did on the Chinese gentleman that came in. They came into the country that way. So I think that's really interesting that this is not. It's a business model. It's not. That blew my mind. Again, it's not this humanitarian. We're coming here for a better life. These people probably think that they are, but they're actually being sold on the idea, which is so strange. To me, I'm like, because I'm a business person, I'm thinking this is an actual sales pitch. So anyways.
And the trafficking of the children has become a part of that business model.
Yes.
So, when we're talking about not necessarily South America and China and Middle East and those people that are coming over paying $10,000 and $15,000, but just across the border, like he's talking about, the $500 fee to get across the river by the Gulf cartel. Knowing that person more than likely is going to get caught, sent back, and another $500. It's like, it's like a ferry fee, if you will, to cross the river, to be guaranteed to get onto American land. Well, now they're figuring out, okay, will you give us $500, we're going to give you a kid to guarantee your quick release. It's part of their business model. And you have people that have to provide these children. Cartels don't have a baby farm somewhere producing children. They're actually having to either steal or buy
Yeah.
children to guarantee crossing to their clients. What was the gentleman saying? 1,200 people? Was that a day?
Yeah, 1,200 people a day.
A
just
day
in
coming
that
across,
area.
and that just in that area, just across the border, $300 to $500 a pop,
Yep.
and a child.
Yeah.
That's a lucrative business.
Than drugs. He said
Right.
it this morning. The
Yeah.
cartels do.
And
it's
that's
the trafficking.
That's human trafficking. So human trafficking has become the most lucrative business model of the cartel,
yeah.
and Americans are wanting to say there's no crisis.
Yeah.
You have numerous children being abused, their brains being completely rewired. We're talking 1-year-olds. You guys have mentioned a 3-year-old in a cornfield. First 12 years of life is when our brains are being wired for safety, for security, for trust, for self-value. And these children are learning right out the gate incorrectly that they can't trust anybody. Their value is in what they can provide for somebody else, for those industries.
Exactly.
And if it's not the sex industry, it's like the gentleman was saying today, the smuggling. They actually want to be a part of all of this because that's what they've grown up doing. They've grown up being the golden ticket to help the smugglers get somebody over, and they see all the money that's being made, and so what do they want? They want to be a part of it. It's become systemic. And this is happening to babies. This is happening to our children.
Yeah. It was really weird. Like when I got here, I was just in prayer, like just a lot of prayer leading into it. And one of the things I just felt led to pray was protect the babies. Protect the babies, God. Protect the babies. And I had no idea what the heck is this even have to do with what I'm doing here. Like, I don't know, Lord. And I think I'm getting it now.
Yeah.
I think I'm understanding that the real victims here are innocent children.
Gutted.
And really people being brainwashed and being sold a bill of goods to support a business model and for the cartels to make money. I mean, it's really eye-opening. And I remember Melissa and I talking about how sobering it is. But as a mother, as I think every mother that's watching, you read your own child into it. You read yourself into it. And I could never imagine doing that to my child. Ever. So anyways, it was so sobering, and it was such an interesting conversation. I wanted to bring everybody into it. And at some point I would love for you just to explain too, a little bit more about this business model and how you came across last week with Border Patrol, a group of guys from China. That was, of all places.
Yeah, I went out with Border Patrol last Thursday in Rio Grande Valley, which that's the busiest area. And the first stop we had was Border Patrol had just apprehended 7 Chinese people. And so I called a friend who speaks Mandarin. I was like, put her on speaker. I was like, can you translate? So we interviewed one of them, and he said that he paid $15,000 to fly into Mexico and then come across the border illegally.
Yeah.
And they were trying to evade Border Patrol, which usually means they're not here to come and claim asylum. But that's their backup plan if they do get caught.
Wow.
And so he said he was going to claim asylum from persecution, and I asked him why he didn't just fly into America and claim asylum at the airport.
Yeah.
And he said, this is the way we all do it. And he said he had a friend had put him in touch with a smuggler in Beijing, and it had been organized. And
That's amazing to me.
yeah.
Where's that thought come from of like, this is how we do it? Is it just he doesn't understand that you could fly into America and you could claim asylum? Or is he's just thinking like, this is how we do it?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
He was going to go to New York, and I don't know if there's some smuggling networks that are, they're really acting like travel agents.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
that's what it
saying.
sounds like.
Yeah.
It's a business.
It is a business.
That's what I'm saying. It reminds me of
And
a
you can
timeshare.
buy different packages actually with different types of food, and not the guarantee of not getting raped, but a better chance of not getting raped. Like you
Yeah.
can pay for different things along the way.
Wow. Somebody should do like an undercover thing and like get in contact and just try to go through the whole process and see. You know what I mean? You know, like how there's some of those undercover reporters that like do it. That would be insane to expose. But that's what my eyes have been open to here, is that it's actually a business. This isn't making the cartels tons of money. And the victims are children.
Yeah.
And honestly, these people who have been lied to in so many ways.
Yeah.
They're told you're gonna have this great life. America wants to help you. It's just, it's sad.
We were joking with Border Patrol in Yuma that they're the Uber and the Airbnb for the cartels. Basically,
Wow.
They're just sort of
That's a
doing
way
the
to put
bidding
it.
of what the cartels are sending them.
Amazing.
Because the cartels they're controlling our border security
Yeah.
in America.
Exactly. And it's, there's so much we could be talking about, but we'll stay on topic and we'll leave it with this. But and Melissa, anything you wanted to add before we end the broadcast?
No, I'm just I'm gutted. I'm absolutely blown away that this systemic issue that's forming future generations is going on right under our nose, and people want to say there's not a crisis. I tell you what, if there were 1,200 children at a school that got caught up in, an active shooter thing, let's say, and all of them shot,
Yeah.
we would call that a crisis.
Yeah.
How is this any different?
Totally.
How is it any different? Actually, to me, it's worse, because Lord forbid, I have mercy for all these angel parents and people that have school shooters and have lost their children. I have tons of sympathy for them. But these children that are getting actively trafficked, they might not be dead and in heaven. They're living through a life of hell and then perpetuating it. It becomes systemic.
Yeah.
Shooting situations at schools, it doesn't become systemic. I don't mean to be crude. A dead child does not go out and kill another child.
Sure.
A trafficked child does.
Yeah.
So how is this not a crisis? How can people be so short-sighted as to not see the detriment of where this is headed on such a grand scale?
Yeah.
Huge to me. So yeah, I definitely found my button this weekend on day 2, and I'm trying not to be completely, totally livid. Yeah. But something has to be done, and as we were talking yesterday with that hashtag, it's got to stop. This has got to stop.
Exactly. All right, you guys. Well, Lord, we pray you protect the babies and help share this, because it has to stop. So you guys share this broadcast, tag the moms that need to hear about it, understand it's a business model, and understand the people that are suffering the most are these children who are being cycled through over and over and over again. So thank you guys for watching. I know it's sober stuff, right? This is sober stuff, but we've got to look at it. We can't put our head in the sand. We can't avoid it. I know it's painful to look at, but we have to look at it because we have got to fix the problem. And on both sides of the party, nobody's handling it. The only person that's willing to even look at it and talk about it right now has been Donald Trump. So I want to support our president, and you call your representatives and you say it has got to stop. Build the wall. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.